seems no matter what you do or what is done to you, it becomes a topic nationally. And a lot of times it becomes divisive. I wonder from your standpoint how you feel about people using your name in whatever culture wars or whatever wars they're fighting. How do you feel about that?
It's not something I can control, so I don't put too much thought and time into thinking about things like that. And to be honest, I don't see a lot of it. Like I've said, basketball is my job. Everything on the outside, I can't control that, so I'm not going to spend time thinking about that. People can talk about what they want to talk about, create conversations about whatever it is. But I think for myself, I'm just here to play basketball.
It's Caitlin Clark's responsibility to tell her fans to stop being racist, homophobic, just generally bigots towards other players in the league. 100% it is. Hey, I'm Coach Jackie. I make videos all about women's sports, and this conversation is a long time coming, and I'm glad we're having it. It's undeniable that ever since LSU beat Iowa in the national championships in 2023, there has been a conversation whenever fans try to defend Caitlin Clark where they are absolutely racist towards her black opponents. That's just true. That just happens. Is it Caitlin Clark's fault that happens? No, it's not, right? People say things. However, after a couple years of them saying it, it is her responsibility to speak up and say, stop saying that.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I gotta tell you guys, it really does seem like the woke WNBA players are hell-bent on destroying the WNBA. Now, it's not like the WNBA was actually a successful league. I mean, they're on track to lose $50 million this year. The only reason that league hasn't already collapsed is because of the subsidy that the WNBA gives the league every year in order to survive. But it seems as if these women want to be on welfare for the rest of their lives, okay? They really want to be the welfare league because they would much rather be victims than to be successful and to have the league stand on its own 2 feet, okay? Because the best opportunity that they have in order to make the WNBA a successful league that people actually care about, they're pissing it away with each and every day that passes where these jealous, hateful women continue to attack Caitlin Clark simply because they can't stand the fact that the league is getting attention in a way that they don't like, which is via a woman who happens to be straight and white. Now, again, this is not me making it up. This is not me coming to this conclusion based off microaggressions. No, these players have been explicit about how they don't like the fact that Caitlin Clark is bringing attention to the league as a straight white woman, okay? And they hate the fact that nobody cared about the league when the stars of the league were mostly black lesbian women, okay? They made that known that, hey, we are jealous of her. We don't like her success because of her skin color and her sexuality. This is what they've said. And they've made it very clear that this is how they feel, not just from their comments, but also on the court, okay? Caitlin Clark has been the subject of cheap shots, and fans rightfully came to her defense because they're saying, hey, this is not right. What you're doing to her because you're jealous of her is not right. It is going to turn people off from the game. And these women are rightfully getting backlash for how they're treating her. And that in the long run, if Caitlin Clark gets injured because of one of these cheap shots, it is going to backfire on the league. Then the WNBA shot themselves in the foot again because whoever decides the USA basketball team for women who play in the Olympics, they decided to snub Caitlin Clark. Now, one of the reasons why they're snubbing Caitlin Clark doesn't have anything to do with her talent or whether or not she earned the spot. They're blaming the fans. They're saying, well, it's the fans' fault because we don't want to deal with the fans who are going to be upset that Caitlin Clark is not getting that much playing time, right? She's going to be riding the bench. She's not going to be playing that much. And we think that the fans are going to get upset. So therefore, that's part of the reason why she was left off of the team, which again is incredibly stupid. And smart people have been trying to tell these women that, yeah, that's pretty dumb. You're missing the opportunity of a lifetime because of jealousy and hate. Now, did these women learn their lesson? Did these women take time to actually think about what everybody was trying to tell them about how, listen, this is your best opportunity for success. You better take it. No. What they're doing is that they're continuing to double and triple down on the nonsense. And now what they're really doing is that they are attacking the fans. They're now blaming the fans. They're saying that Caitlin Clark's fans are MAGA and she must denounce her fans as racist, sexist, bigots. And it is a problem if she doesn't. Basically, they're demanding that she virtue signal her wokeness, okay? To worship at the altar of the liberal black woman like the mainstream liberal media does and like everybody on the left side of the political aisle does. This is what they want. This is what they are demanding. In fact, they had a problem with Caitlin Clark being asked about the fans weaponizing her name in order to push an agenda. Now, nobody's weaponizing Caitlin Clark's name to push an agenda, but this is the media spin because the media, the liberal media, the pro-black media, really, they are trying to get Caitlin Clark, again, to do the tap dance because these liberal black women in the WNBA are being rightfully criticized for their jealousy and hate. So again, now it's incumbent upon Caitlin Clark to basically piss off the fans on behalf of these women. And if she doesn't, then she's standing with racism, hate, bigotry, and she's allowing her name to be weaponized for an agenda, a right-wing agenda. Now, again, I'm not entirely sure what right-wing agenda Caitlin Clark is being weaponized for. They haven't articulated that, but this is what they're saying, okay? In fact, you have this WNBA player, ultra woke, Dijonai Carrington. She came out and posted a tweet in response to Caitlin Clark saying, hey, I don't really pay attention to social media. I don't have a comment on what people are doing on social media. Basically, she's staying out of it, right? She's playing it smart, okay? She's just saying, look, it's not my problem, okay? I'm just trying to play basketball, which is exactly what she should say, right? She clearly is more intelligent than 99% of these women in this league, okay? But this woman, this WNBA player, had a problem with that. She says, dog, how one cannot be bothered by their name being used to justify racism, bigotry, misogyny, xenophobia, homophobia, and the intersectionalities of them all is nuts. We all see that ish. We all have a platform. We all have a voice, and they all hold weight. Silence is a luxury. Yeah, so again, basically what she's saying is that, yeah, I have a problem with Caitlin Clark refusing to call the fans racist, to call the fans bigots. I have a problem with Caitlin Clark making a smart business decision for the betterment of the league, right? That's essentially what she's saying because Caitlin Clark, again, being much smarter than these individuals, knows that the best thing for me to do is to just stay out of this, okay? Not to take a side and just play ball, right? She's been great at interviews. In fact, a lot of these WNBA players, they should take notes. Their league will be much more successful because these players wouldn't be so insufferable, right? Because right now, I can't stand any of these players. And they've shown us why nobody gave a damn about the WNBA up until Caitlin Clark, okay? They show us every chance they get why this league has been irrelevant. So, again, of course, you have the pro-black woke revolutionaries agreeing with this stuff in the comment section, egging this woman on, okay, to force Caitlin Clark to make a bad business decision. Because I'm telling you, it would be a bad business decision for Caitlin Clark to do what these WNBA players are asking her to do. And just so you guys understand the player that we're dealing with here, this is the same player that taunted Caitlin Clark like that on the court, right? This is the same player. So again, we know where this is coming from. Jealousy and hate. Jealousy and hate. So now Caitlin Clark gets a question from the liberal media asking her basically to denounce the racism and misogyny and your name being used to push an agenda, right? This is what they're asking her. And this was Caitlin Clark's answer.
I know you mentioned that, you know, you want to focus straight on basketball. Definitely respect that. But when, just to ask you directly, when people use your name for racism, misogyny, whatever, what is your response to that specifically?
Yeah, I think it's disappointing. I think, everybody in our world, deserves the same amount of respect. The women in our league deserve the same amount of respect. So people should not be using my name to push those agendas. It's disappointing. It's not acceptable. But yeah, I mean, this league is a league I grew up admiring and wanting to be a part of. Like, some of the women in this league were my biggest idols and role models growing up and helped me want to achieve this moment right here that I get to play in every single night. So just treating every single woman in this league with the same amount of respect, I think is just a basic human thing that everybody should do. Like, just be a kind person and treat them, how you would want to be treated. And I think it's, very simple.
Caitlin,
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, now she's obviously trying to thread the needle here. Okay, she's trying to walk the fine line and balance giving these players their credit, because this is what they want. They want you to worship at the liberal black woman altar, right? This is what they want you to do. Okay, so she's trying to do that, show appreciation, while at the same time not trying to call the fans racist, right? But again, the media is going to try to pressure her into saying that, right? This is what they're going to do. And now, guys, I clearly see how the WNBA is going to sabotage themselves. It will either be a cheap shot that gets Caitlin Clark seriously hurt, or it's going to be them forcing Caitlin Clark to come out here and to be woke, to woke virtue signal, okay? And I promise you, I absolutely promise you, the day that Caitlin Clark comes out here and capitulates to these not so wise, not so smart WNBA players, and she calls the fans racist, bigots, xenophobes, hateful, it is over for the WNBA. I promise you, mark my words. These women have no clue what they're asking for. They are asking for Caitlin Clark to do the absolute worst thing that she could do when you talk about growing the game, which is to attack the fans. If Caitlin Clark comes out here and she calls fans racist, if she suggests that the fans are racist that support her in order to please these women, it is over. It is done, okay? All the hopes and dreams of the WNBA will be non-existent at that point. There will be no hope. The league will be on welfare for the rest of their existence. I promise you. I promise you. These women are playing with fire, but unfortunately, like most liberals and progressives, you have to actually touch fire to believe that it burns. It's really unfortunate. It is really unfortunate that it has to be this way. Because a lot of people are telling these women, hey, because we care about the league as a whole, because we care about you, we suggest that you keep your mouth shut. You might not like how you're getting success or why people actually watch the WNBA now, but you better deal with it because it's better for the game in the long run. But they don't want to hear that. They are dead set on destroying their own league because when Caitlin Clark's fans stop watching the game, stop watching the sport because Caitlin Clark decided to call them racist, which is what these people want so bad, it is over. It is over. And there will be no way to recover. But hey, again, like I said, these women would much rather be victims than to be successful. That's how strong of a drug victimhood is, guys. They would much rather be victims and be irrelevant and to boohoo whine and cry about it rather than be successful, rather than to keep their mouths shut and to be successful and to stand on their own 2 feet. So anyways, that brings me to this video from First Take, woke take, really, that's what this is, of Stephen A. Smith chiming in on this comment from this not-so-smart WNBA player, basically pressuring Caitlin Clark to call the fans racist. Now, Stephen A. has been great on this issue because he, like a lot of these men in the media, have come out and told these women, listen, y'all need to shut up and just play, right? Let Caitlin Clark take you guys to greatness, okay? They've been smart about it. They're thinking like businessmen. But slowly but surely, like always, when Stephen A. Smith doesn't align with the pro-black mob, they get in his ear and they tell him, hey, you're not invited to the cookout. We're going to revoke your black card because you out here supporting this white woman too much. Okay, you're pushing back against our narrative. You're talking down to these black women, right? This is what they're telling this guy. I promise you, this is what they're telling him. And like he always does, he is starting to fold. This is what he had to say about this.
There's a broader issue here that can't be escaped, and that is this. She is a white young lady, and she's been a magnet in a way that has benefited the league in ways that others have not, even though their efforts have been worthy and deserving of being as celebrated, if not even more celebrated. And it's a reminder that no matter how far we believe that we have advanced as a society, there's still such a long way to go, because in the end, if you're white, you're bright, you're right, and as a result, the shine comes your way in the eyes of a lot of people in America.
You know, again, this is what Stephen A. Smith does. You just listen to what he said there. He basically said, well, look, there are a lot of women in WNBA that deserve praise and glory because they work hard. And again, they deserve it just as much as Caitlin Clark. But because Caitlin Clark is white, she's getting all this attention. First and foremost, Stephen A., you're wrong. Just because you work hard, just because you think that your sport is entertaining and that you deserve something doesn't mean that you deserve it. You deserve whatever the market gives you, whatever the market dictates. These players have proven time and time again why nobody gave a damn about WNBA before Caitlin Clark. It's not because of their race or because of their sexuality. It's because of their attitudes. They're not role models. They're not people that parents will have their kids watch and look up to and aspire to be like. Now, again, you can chalk it up to race and skin color and sexuality, but that's on you. However, that's not the reality, because we have seen black women go into sports that traditionally they have not been a part of and dominate and have a ton of fans support them. Like, for example, Serena Williams in tennis. One of the biggest stars ever. A black woman supported by white people in this country. Why? It's because she was entertaining, first and foremost. And two, she was a good role model. She's somebody that young girls looked up to that played tennis and said, hey, I want to be like Serena. It's really that simple. But this idea that the WNBA players deserved something before Caitlin Clark is nonsense. They didn't deserve anything. They deserve exactly what they got.
It's transition. Very uncomfortable to touch on, but just factually correct. You have somebody that's a presidential candidate. What is his claim to fame? Make America great again. What have people interpreted that to mean? Make America white again. These are the things that critics have said. He has his supporters spanning the tens of millions. There are others on the other side having tens of millions of the supporters on their side. What has that led to? A divide. It is not a divide that is created. It is a divide that's illuminated because it's highlighting and showing that it's been in existence all along. It hasn't gone anywhere. As we travel for the NBA Finals, and Shanae is here with yours truly and Kendrick Perkins and Brian Windhorst and stuff like that. Yeah, in the city of Dallas, we're chilling, this metropolis, and, we're having a good time. Go to some of the outskirts of Texas. Go to some of the outskirts of Florida. Go to some of the outskirts of various places throughout this country, and you see places that ain't trying to hear all of that. It was the way that it was, and we ain't trying to change it for anybody. We holding on to this, whatever that it may be. And as a result of that, we find ourselves on too many occasions witnessing the conflict that we thought had subsided, that we thought had evaporated before our very eyes. And what we've learned is it has not. It has not. So when Carrington spoke up, I got where she was coming from. I certainly don't hold Caitlin Clark accountable for that. But what Caitlin Clark has to understand is that it's not really you personally. It's you, the figure. It's you, the prop per se, that is being utilized to address a bigger point. If we could do it, everybody has done it. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and others were trying to make things happen in the 50s, in the 60s. Rosa Parks refusing to give us a seat up on a bus. Everybody knows that was something that was orchestrated because a bigger issue needed to be addressed, and they had to find the right person to address it. And throughout history, we've seen a plethora of things transpire and take place where an individual had the light shined on them, and it was orchestrated and plotted and planned because a bigger message and a bigger issue needed to be addressed, but the right person needed to come along to give us the license to address it. And it might not have been through their own volition, but it happens. Caitlin Clark is a wonderful basketball player who I think is going to be a star in this league. And she is box office, and she does generate ratings, and all of those things are true. But the fact that she is a young white lady and the world has gravitated to her the way that they have, in a way they have done for no one else in the 28-year history of the WNBA, and Lord knows how long Team USA has been into existence, it's just further evidence of the times that we're living in, but most importantly, the times we've been living in and the progress that purportedly has been made, although it has existed to some degree, doesn't negate the fact that we can't gloss over the reality of what we're exposed to every single day. That is what Dijonai has spoken about. That is what Carrington was alluding to. That is what a plethora of people within the WNBA and within the world is alluding to today. Yo, y'all, there's still a lot of work to be done because things haven't changed nearly as much as we would like to believe. Period.
Wow. Wow. So Stephen A. Smith, in a Kamala Harris-like word salad, in a roundabout way, basically said that, well, fans are weaponizing Caitlin Clark, and Caitlin Clark didn't ask for it, but it just so happens she's the figure that is being used to push some type of political agenda. What they really want to say is a racist agenda that has illuminated the divide in this country, right? This is what he's saying. When the reality is that Caitlin Clark is not being used to push an agenda. All of this escalated because these WNBA players have shown that they don't like Caitlin Clark or the attention that she's getting because they don't like the fact that she's white and she's straight and she's getting the attention and they didn't get the attention. They're the ones with the problem. The fans just defended Caitlin Clark from what clearly is hate coming from these players. Defending Caitlin Clark apparently is pushing racism, according to these people, right? This is where we're at. If you defend Caitlin Clark against cheap shots and jealousy and hate, then you're a racist. You're pushing a right-wing agenda. Wow. Incredible stuff. And again, this is Stephen A. Smith doing a little tap dance. Because again, the pro-black mob is in his ear. They're saying, look, you're defending this white girl too much. You got to come out here and ride for the sisters. Okay? You got to push this nonsense. Nonsense that's going to guarantee that this league is never successful, because I guarantee you, I'm telling you, if Caitlin Clark comes out here and calls the fans racist or even alludes to fans being racist, it's over. And you would think that Stephen A. Smith being on the right side of this issue, his take would have been, look, y'all should just shut up. At this point, you really need to shut up because you don't want Caitlin Clark to come out here and start calling fans racist. Because if that happens, this league, all the hope that you guys had, all the things that you claimed that you wanted, that it seems like you really don't want, you're not going to get it. But instead, this is what he's doing. He's pushing the nonsense. I still haven't figured out exactly what agenda is being pushed through Caitlin Clark. I don't understand. I don't get it. Right? People that are pushing the divide here are not Caitlin Clark's fans. It's not MAGA. It's not people on the right. It's not conservatives. It's not Trump supporters. It's these black liberal women in the WNBA, in the mainstream liberal media, in the left. You guys are the ones that are dividing the country. You guys are the ones that came out here and explicitly said, yo, we don't like her being white and straight and giving us all this attention. We don't like that. You said that. You're the ones that cheap shot at her. You're the cause of all of this. But again, they blame everybody else. Everybody else is the problem, and they're the victims. It's sheer stupidity. I cannot believe the stupidity of what's coming out of this league in the mainstream level media right now. It's insane. But I'm really at the point now where I think that fans should strongly consider just boycotting the league. Right? I mean, that's basically already what's happening because nobody really watches the WNBA outside of Caitlin Clark. Okay? And I really don't want Caitlin Clark to suffer because of her ignorant colleagues in the league. But it seems as if it's getting to that point where it's like there needs to be a boycott. Right? People just need to stop watching. If this is what they're going to do, if they're going to say that the fans are racist, that you can't comment on the game, if you ain't watched the WNBA before, if you're going to defend Caitlin Clark from cheap shots, then that's racism. If that is what they want to do, if that's the route they want to go down, then yeah, I think a boycott is in order. I really do. It's starting to get to that point because it seems like that's what they want. They want people to not watch it, right? They don't want certain fans to watch the game. They don't. And again, what's hilarious about this is that without the so-called racist fans, the league it's never going to be successful. That's what these people don't understand. I've said this time and time again. For whatever reason, these pro-blacks don't realize that 60% of America is white, right? You need white people to support your business if your business is going to be successful. There aren't many businesses in this country that are successful, uber successful. We're talking about billion-dollar companies without white customers, right? For whatever reason, they don't understand this concept. But this is what they're asking for. But at some point, the fans are going to start tuning this out. Fans are going to walk away from this and say, listen, if this is what we have to deal with on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, this type of racialized drama because of the hate and vitriol from these women towards one of their own colleagues just because she's white and straight and she has people cheering for her, she has fans, then we're just going to be done with this league. Because we don't want our daughters to be exposed to this type of nonsense. So, again, it's just unfortunate that people on the left have to actually touch fire to believe that it burns. It is an unfortunate reality, but it is the reality that we live in when it comes to these individuals. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.